Hey, how you guys doing? I'm gonna get a drink of this stuff. Let's go. That was some nice peach tea. Let's hunker down into this, guys, and start winning. Let's see here. I'll play with that guy. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so takes. Excuse me. Okay, dokie. I got this guy locked down. I didn't want to play here because of a pin. Now we're threatening mate. On. That was a pretty fun game. game. That's a dubious move. We're going after the d5 pawn. this is a tough one for him to think about. We're hammering home. We're already I think 3 pawns ahead. Even if we lose one, we still have 2 pawns, and we're in a winning endgame. So this should be an interesting battle. Let's see how you guys are doing. Oh, perfect. Good. Glad to see you guys are on. Yeah, right now there's actually only 2 choices that my opponent really can make. Is takes with the pawn. It can't actually 1. Well, he could try to take the pawn here. I think that's probably what he's calculated is queen takes g6. That would be interesting to say the least. Well, in that case, I probably would... Oh, so he took there. Gotcha. I want to hold on to this pawn. I don't want to let him have the pawn. That'd be silly if I did. Next, I'm going to try to play queen f3, maybe potentially to maybe queen f3, queen f4, and then h4 for some sort of mating attack. Just cement my structure. Let's grab a pawn. I got a pin there, and then I'm gonna castle queenside and go for a mega attack. Trying to see what type of influence. Yeah, he's in a world. Our opponent's in a world of hurt. It's probably gonna let his time run. The weirdest thing is, it's kind of funny, he's down pawns, but my king is slightly unsafe, so we have to watch that I don't fall into any traps. He's gonna let his time run. That's okay. Sometimes guys they can't resign. So I'll have I'll type in good game when it's time. He doesn't want to continue on. Yeah, it's not fun to get crushed. But you know what? You sign up to play the game, you have to be prepared to win or lose. That's kind of how it is. Like if you signed up to wrestle, you're not gonna say, wait, we're actually wrestling here. No, you know what? You have to take it like a man, basically, or take it like a chess player. That's what I should say. Take it as a chess player, and understand that winning and losing is part of chess. When you win or lose, you take your game back and learn from it. And hopefully that's what our opponent does here. After they let their time run, I'm going to type in good game to them. Good game. Good game. I'll type in thank you for the game when it goes off. I'll put that in there. I'll do a smiley face. There we go. Oh, so he's actually playing. Interesting. So I better erase that. Okay. Let's see, what do we want to do? Okay, castle queenside. Okay, let's get into our London system now. Alrighty then. Okie dokie dookie. Okay. Whoops, I had to go all the way back. Okay, hold on there. Let's see, is this... Yep, good, we're at the right point. Okay, d4, knight f6, knight f3. Hold on, I just want to check one thing. Good, okay. G6. Basically the standard London setup. There's actually, what we could do at this point, there's an in-between move here. If we castle, and then he plays b7. There's two main lines that we could play. You could play c4, c5 with them. That's a mistake. That's a mistake there. And knight c3, knight bd7, d5 exclam. a6, because he's trying to get everything a rolling and a moving and a grooving. So we go e4, rook e8, d2, queen d2 to connect the rooks. Let's see, knight f5, so that we can prepare the push, and then rook fe1, so that if it does open up, we're right on the open file. This landed black in an inferior King's Indian Banco position, so that's an idea. There's also, instead of this move here, you can go down the c takes d, or nope, sorry, my bad, nope. C takes d, there we go. E takes d, this is for black, and d5, giving white a Queen's Gambit decline Tarrasch variation. A full 2 moves up over the normal position. The first tempo was gained because he has the white piece. He has the white pieces. The second tempo was gained when black played d6, and then d5. So he played d6 and d5. White got 2 tempos. Okay. Let's see now. So, he says sometimes I play this position in the pure London setup without c5. So let's c4. He goes a4, a6, h2, knight bd2, c3, e6, because they're trying to lock down this, knight bd2, and then queen e7. Yeah, this was a game he actually played. We're attempting to disrupt, like, if he plays a5, this is really bad for him. So, but we played c5 in the game. So knight bd7, c3, knight b7, castles, and then there's the exclam knight to e4 for black. This actually neutralizes any advantage white has, e4. He said that trading helps the side which is more cramped. So black equalizes after this move, e4. This is the reason I preferred playing a4 instead of c4. He says he preferred playing, rather than c4, a4. This only helps black in this scenario because more pieces that come off the board. So instead of c4 here, what he prefers playing is actually a4 and then going into that line. Okay, I just wanted to let you guys know, not c4, a4 is what he prefers. So takes, h, and then e4. By the way, white is Gata Kamsky, if you're wondering. So this is the king of the London system, Grandmaster Gata Kamsky. So this is no slouch, let's just say, of a player. This is the Grandmaster's Grandmaster. So e5. Besides e5, black does have a equalizing and better move, which would be C5, and then Queen D2. Also, this also looks fine for black here, this setup, because he's trying to uncramp his position. Remember that? Black's cramped, and if we could cramp him, we could slowly squeeze him under the weight of his own pieces. So that does it. So knight to B2. Knight D2. Queen E7. Queen E7. Knight F D1. I mean Rook F D1, not knight. Rook F D8. F E8. Sorry. Wait a second. Did I? Let's see. Did I? Oh, Spaghetti-O. I put in the wrong move. It's okay. Well, yikes! No wonder this didn't turn out the way I thought it was. So this is the setup here, and we'll just put in this is the correct line. I'll have to make this my main line. Sorry about that, guys. I thought for surety I saw that right. That's okay. So Rook AC1. This is actually we're putting in the game now. A5. Okay, let's see. A5. Sorry, A5. Which is an interesting move. Queen to E1. Bishop to B7. And then Queen D to D2. Okay. Which is this is another interesting move. He's just waiting in this position. Let's see here. Potentially if this is what we're saying. He didn't understand why during this that Kamsky didn't play Queen to B3, because the plan is to play A3 and then B4 at the right moment, and this will even out the pawn chain. So E4 was played, which is this is a dubious move for black. There's really no reason to set yourself up for an attack like that. So a better plan would have actually been to have played. So you have to remember, black accepts the challenge and should begin to break the king side or the center with C5 in a quick overshadowing attack. And therefore, at the right moment, F5 would be played. C5 and F5, and black would get a extreme powerful attack. The way to accomplish that is Rook to E8, B3 for white, takes, knight takes, not pawn, because you'll lose your piece. C5. C5. When black acquires basically an equal position here, black's equal. So that line would have actually been much better than E4. It only helped white relocate his knight to E5, E1, F5. G5. Oops, F5. Oh, no, sorry, knight C2, exclam. C2. Okay, G5. Sorry, he's got to get this pawn moving, pawn rolling and going for sure. F8. B5. We're going after this pawn. f6, the knight's moving, and they're saying that this isn't the best move, but if black was to get a little greedy and play rook a c8, that's a mistake. c5 shuts down everything and gives white a really strong attack. It's an opening attacking move. Boom. Then we check with the king. King h8. Bishop takes the pawn. Wham. C takes d4. Bishop d6, which attacks the queen. D takes e. F takes e. And it's kind of strange. It looks like a lot of white support positions are being, pulled out from underneath him, but white's actually the one that's safe here, not black. Surprisingly, it's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, see, we just acquired winning a rook. So the knight takes, and then knight d6 with a fork on the rook and the bishop. On the rook and the bishop. Here. Let me see. Black is basically quite, as our author would say, quite busted here, as rook to b8 really doesn't do anything. It is met by knight check, king g, knight takes g5 check, king h8, knight f, king g8, knight king g8, and then we grab the bishop, rook takes the knight, and then the intermezzo queen to d5. It's simultaneous threatening mate and also the rook, so there's really no way to stop the mating idea. He'd have to play something like there. This wasn't actually played. I'm just gonna put at this point I'm gonna make a mark so that you guys know this is just this is the only move. So I'm just putting a square there so you guys know this is where it started. This is just our combination that we're gonna go over, and I'll keep it in there because it's surprisingly we arise two rooks, actually a rook and an exchange up in this line, so you're winning. So I kept a little box there, that's so you guys know where the game stopped, and this was our ideas. So let's see. Hold on, let me make sure I got this. F6. Okay, we're good. We're starting onward and upward. C5, exclam. D takes C. And then D takes C. This was a mistake by Gata. It was a dubious move. It wasn't a bad move, it's just dubious. Better would have actually been wham. Knight takes would have given Gatakovsky an exclam mark there, which actually it attacks the rook and on a8 and prepares for bishop to c4 with the knight coming wham right into e6, attacking the g5 pawn. So would have been much better, but that's okay. Hey, you know what, we all make mistakes, but you know what, Gatakovsky knows the London system inside and out, so you have to take that into consideration. So wham, there we go. Bishop checks, king h8, queen e2. Rook takes, or sorry, rook takes, and then rook takes f4, which is an interesting move. There was a potential, there was kind of a move that he could have played, which would have been knight to e8, c takes b, c takes b, and then knight d6. Sorry, knight d6, because we have it protected two ways. But he chose f6 or f4. E takes, and then queen takes the pawn. F5 was, this was a mistake by Gata. See, we're human, we all make mistakes. The best move would have actually been, again, knight takes. I know that's surprisingly, because if queen takes, g takes with an attack, a pawn, queen to c6, and you take there, bishop, queen takes, and then rook d6, queen g5, and bishop to g3, and this is a really stellar position. I believe that white's up a whole pawn in this line too, so you got to remember to always look, if you have enough time, at all your options. Like Alekhine said, that if you have one idea, look to see if there's another idea. So knight d5 was played, which gets an exclamation mark. Bishop takes, knight takes, rook takes the pawn, and then b3 to shut down everything. G8, because he doesn't want to lose his bishop, of course. In this line, it's an asserted position. So we have to say, what is black's bishop here looks good in the open position. Basically, it is uncertain which king is safer. Is it black or white? That's number 2. 3, white's knight is very powerful and will prepare to go to e8, followed by knight to d6. Black's position is loose, and he has many weak pawns and to worry about. So, in conclusion, it all depends upon play, whose side is better. So, whoever is the best London system player will end up becoming whoever knows how to counter or make it work. It's going to be the one that either wins or draws. So Gatakowski has everything set to go. Okay. Alrighty then. So there. Takes bishop. Okay. Knight e8 with a exclam mark. Bishop d4. Bishop g3, d5, I see we're going after the rook, f5, he goes back, bishop b5, which is a dubious move. What they're saying is, surprisingly, wham, this is actually a A brilliant move. It gets a double exclam. A brilliant move. It walks black right into a devastating pin. See right here? Boom. D2. B5. D1. Queen B7. Rook takes D. Queen takes A6. And then rook D6. And black can't protect both. Let me see. Black can't protect both the A1 and A8 diagonal. Oh, I see. This threatens mate with queen there. Right here. Can't protect both of these. So if he tries here, that ends in a mate because so he can't protect at one time both of the things. So B7 was played. Queen B7. Rook D7. Queen B6. Rook A1 check. Bishop F6 takes. Rook takes. And then bishop E5 with a pin, and white wins. So, isn't that interesting how one move can really cost you the entire game? Like, so E5 here, it gets an exclam. If black gets a little too and decides to, let me see here, if he takes this, I lost my thought there for a second. It's back now though, and we're ready to roll. Rook takes. And bishop D5. Bishop C7, and the rook is almost trapped. And now we're gonna pick up the pawn. Black will lose at least one of his pawns, maybe even more. He might lose it all. You never know. So D let me see if alright. Yep. That's right. There goes that basically that E4 pawn, because he can't take here, because what'll happen is he'll take back with an attack. So there goes the E4 pawn. He just can't afford to take the knight, no matter how much it torments him. He can't afford to take this knight. Black's only compensation is the two bishops. So if the two bishops if one of the bishops gets traded off, any compensation black had is actually zero, and it's actually in favor of white at this point because of the structure of the pawns. Black has 4 pawn islands, and white only has 2. So in an endgame, it favors white. So as much as black wants to cap the knight, he can't. There goes the pawn. See ya later, alligator. Boom. There's not C7. What am I doing? c7 to attack the bishop. Rook d. This gets an exclam mark. Oops, sorry guys, I gotta push my thing back up there. A nice trick to control this. This controls the 7th rank. It's a really nice little trick because you can play knight takes pawn if need be. So check, king comes up, takes, knight takes, queen c3, f3, and queen to f6. White improved his position over the last 10 moves. White is a healthy pawn up, and he has a safer king. Both B and both the B and the G pawns are weak for black, and the knight can actually jump to dark and light squares at will and challenge these two pawns. So yeah, he's in a world of hurt, totally. Queen e3, rook f4. There's also, if h6 is to be played here, this is a losing move. It's a blunder. So he takes h5, exclam, queen b2. The queen must stay on the long diagonal. It's got to stay on the long diagonal, otherwise we have a checkmate idea with the queen. So queen takes the pawn first and foremost. e5, f4, exclam. Who would have, the courage to do that, right? And now this shuts everything down. If he takes here, checkmate. So f4 shuts all of any of the counterplay down. So he has to stay along this diagonal. He actually has to stay here, but how is he supposed to do that? So he's lost. So f takes, pawn takes, e2. Now f4 is added to the list of targets. Boom. So this, and that. All these are targets now for white to have his knight charge to the rescue. So a4, pawn takes, queen c5, bishop c5, knight c3, rook f8. He wants to undermine this here. There's also, you're probably wondering why not just take, right? Because rook to d4, and we're going to pick up this picks up the pawn. If rook a8, then we have rook to b3, and two pawns are about to fall. And this wins too, here and there if need be. That's why he plays there and and then rook g8. The threat is rook to bishop f1 with a double attack on g2. So rook d2, rook c8, rook d4, rook f1, knight e4, rook c2, rook d2. Oh, not rook d2, my bad. It's actually knight d2. In this line, and it gets an exclam. One second. go now. Let's keep pounding away at this. One click at a time, right guys? So, oops, my bad there. A6, A3, Rook A2, Knight G4, C4, Rook C2, D2, Knight D2, King G1, Rook A1 check, King H2, Rook A2, and then King D6. Exclam. Another pawn falls. No matter how black plays, another pawn's gonna bite the dust. Boom. Oops, not that. What am I doing? E4. That's what we gotta do. Rolling up for the F pawn. So we're blocking and ready to go. Rook takes Rook F6 to takes F4. F1. Uh-oh, I missed something here. My bad. What did I miss here? 94. Oh! Yeah. My bad. Too far. Rook E2. A5. F6. Rook A3. 94. Hold on, let me make sure I got this. Okay, 50, 55. So 55. So that's right. Takes, B takes, A takes, E4, A, C4, A5, F, A3, 94. Okay, now F4. Gotcha. We're on the track now. We're on the track now, baby. Yes, we are. This is a forced move, so G4 is forced. Just in time. That's what the author says. D3, F6. Now we're threatening the Arabian mate. This blocks the Arabian mate. H4 prepares to win the bishop. So king comes up. D5. We're coming back down. King H6. King D4. King B2. King H3. Rook F2, because our idea is to get this pawn pushing, and so the rook goes to F2 so that when we take here, you could take with check on F3. So F4 exclam. This is a very powerful endgame. This one says very powerful endgame technique by Gadakovsky. I love the way the knight, it basically swims around the board, swings around the board, walks around perfectly at ease, totally unbothered by the black pieces. It has now reached F4 where it controls H5, G6, let's see, d5 and e6. These are the main squares he's talking about. Black begins a four-step winning plan, he says. 1. To push the h pawn all the way to h6, 1, 2, up the board, and fix the pawn h7 pawn in place. White's pawn will. Black will push his king, Black's king to the back rank, so he wants to get the king back here and the pawn here. Excuse me. Use the threat of mate or threaten to checkmate on the back rank. And 4, this allows White to untangle his king and push the g-pawn up the board. So watch and learn how Gatakowski sets all this up. So check, king g, a2, d5, queen c, rook c5, king b4, b7, b, and then we check with b6. Check, king f, h5, there we go, it starts, f1, there we go. Next we got one stage done, one stage clicked off, boom. Now we need to get 2, and when the king goes to the back rank, let's see, because check, king goes to f7, bishop, oh, uh-oh, I made a mistake here. What did that, where did I, yikes, yikes, yikes. Hold on, gotta make sure 72. So rook, to rook a6. Not there. That was the problem. I knew there was something. F1, H6, wham, there we go. F7, because there's no way he could have checked if the bishop was on C8. That gets an exclam, so I forgot to put an exclam on both those moves gets an exclam. Now we the knight on F4 does pay itself in dues or help the empire out. That's what he's saying. So king g8, there's 2 out of the 4 are done. Now what we gotta do is we gotta use our threat, and actually when it goes to the back rank there's 3. So we have 3 out of the 4. Now all we need to do is untangle our pieces. See, we check. The king goes to h8. Now the king's on the back rank. We go rook to e7. Now we're threatening mate, so the rook has to come back to guard. That was that was 3. That was 3 when he checked, made the king go to h2 or h8, and then brought the rook back. That's number 3. We have one more to go. But there is a mistake. They did say this. If you go let me see here, what did I, if here, let's see, hold on, oh, right here, instead of A8, oh, gotcha, this is the mistake here. If he does this, going to, I know what you're thinking, why can't the king just come out, E8 check, and when the king goes to F7, you go H and you pick up the pawn, because there's no way the knight guard's there, the pawn guard's there, and the rook guard's there. So this will end up falling, and basically it's the demise of black. So that's why rook to A8 is forced. There's no way you can handle it. So the king goes to F2. White has untangled his pieces. They're in perfect harmony now. White's ready to push the g-pawn up the board. So Gatakowski fulfilled all of his plans, his 4 steps. The first one was to get the king, get the pawn to h6. He did. Get the king to the back rank, which he did. Bring the rook over to g7, check. Push the king into the corner, h8. Go to rook to e7. Threaten back rank, he did. That was number 3. And number 4, untangle his pieces and go g4. And g4 is what allows the whole winning setup for Gadakomsky. So c4 is played, and now we play rook c7 to get our in a good spot. He comes back, and now we play g4. g4, rook a2, check. King goes to g3, of course. Rook a3, g5, and rook a5, and g6 with. This gets an exclam, and our opponent resigned. Okay, so what? Hey, how you doing? So what? In summary, what we have to remember is we're going to go back here to let's see, when black played b6. All right, here. When black played b6, you may go for c4 like Gadakomsky does, or you may go, remember, excuse me, sorry about that. You may go a4, which is kind of a slightly better line. Otherwise, c4 gives your opponent more of an attacking chance with knight bd7, knight c3, b castles, and then knight to e4, which actually equalizes the game for black, because we want to keep him cramped, and a4 cramps our opponent. So just keep that in mind. You know what, Gadakomsky has a different style than most players. He's more of an attacker, positional attacker player. So it worked for him with c5. He basically outplayed his opponent. And sometimes you'll be able to, in the London system, get to a slightly better position for white and then slowly outplay your opponent. You may not always get to play Harry 4, h4. You might have to play just the standard London h3. And just remember all this stuff that we started. Okay. We will go into our puzzles now, and we'll work on some puzzles. And I will leave this to you guys. I'll be right back. And so enjoy. And if you guys have any questions or any moves you want to put in, I'll be more than happy for you to put it in the box down here. Okay, and we'll go over the puzzle moves. Let's see what we got here. Much better. Okay, Doki. So queen takes rook. Um, So if queen takes rook, knight takes queen, pawn takes, interesting for sure. We win 2 rooks for a queen and a pawn. I was looking at if d takes c4 right away. He's got rook takes e7. He's got this. If we take here, he's got that. If we take there, he could just grab the pawn, and he won a pawn in that line. But if queen takes, knight takes, pawn takes, queen moves, then we grab the rook. Bishop takes, knight takes, and then queen takes. Or we could just push the pawn at that point. Yeah. What we could do is play here, here, takes, takes, and if he comes back, then we take, and he tries to take here. That's a blunder, because we can just push. The queen has to stay here, and we can actually pick up the bishop for free, because the queen can't leave this file here, because if it does, let's say it takes the knight, we queen, and it's checkmate. So yeah. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. If he retreats back, and let's say bishop takes, right? We just push. He can't take here. Let's say we take. Oh, we just bring the rook over. We take with the knight. Okay, gotcha. Good find there, guys. Excellent work. Excellent job. thinking something to do with that, but I don't think so, because he could just play. He could play there, not fast enough. So maybe if bishop takes, king takes, check. If the king moves back, we grab the. No, we can't grab the knight because of. We could grab the bishop at that point. So we take here, and we take here. He takes there. We check. Well, he might intercept. If he intercepts, we just grab the bishop at that point. So it'd be up a whole pawn. But is there? Can we get anything more out of this? Do you guys see? Is there any way that you guys can see anything more out of this? I'm open to suggestions. Could you see anything more? The only problem with bishop f4, not a bad try. The knight can take, and then when we try to take the queen, the knight can take back, and they'd be up in exchange. That was a good try. Not you know what? That was good. There's potential b4, but I don't know if that does really anything. It opens up this diagonal. It has to do with something around this knight right here. This knight here was guarding this pawn. Yeah, not to worry. Hey, not to worry. This knight that was here at one time was guarding this pawn. So in the Aikido principle, what did Black leave behind? He left behind the protection of h7. So in theory, we could actually sacrifice temporarily our bishop, and we can get a then when the king takes, we come over. If the knight intercepts, we pick up the bishop. I'm thinking that's potentially the move. Oh, so I was. Let me see here. What am I missing? Oh, drat, I forgot that you could actually play that. Yeah, because you're threatening mate and the queen has to take, and then now you're double attacking the knight and there's another double attack. And if here you grab that, drat. That's horrible. We'll do this one. I'll do one more of this one. Let's see if we can't solve this. What are we missing here? Oh, in the last line? Let me see here. We'll take a look. I already talked about this here. Takes here. You're up one whole pawn, but I think that it's a drawn endgame at this point. I think it's drawn at this point. Yeah. Still better for white, but it's just a draw. There was something better, just a little better. Gotta love peach tea. Peach tea is yummy. Okay, let's see, what are we missing here? Because he's threatening to play pawn, rook takes. He's got 4 pieces hammering. So we gotta move quick. We gotta be efficient here. What are we missing here? Let me see. What are we missing here? It's too bad we can't somehow distract the queen. We could get there, and that would be a tied turn right there. This is puzzling. What my idea is rook to rook takes b3. If rook takes f7, we potentially have queen takes, knight takes, knight takes, knight takes, and we have 3 pieces. We're down in exchange though, so it doesn't work. Oh, e6, you're right. Huh. That's so e6. I was taking a think on what you were talking about here. So bishop takes, pawn takes, rook takes, queen f4 check, queen takes f4, rook takes f4. Well, I believe that's more. Well, wow. Okay. Oh, the queen guarded the rook. I didn't see that. I missed that. Yeah, that I missed that this rook was guarded by the queen. That was my fault. Well, do you guys have any questions on this? Let's see if we play here. I think he can just take at this point. Takes, and then play checkmate. So that's right. It's okay. Let's have it. Let's do it right. We'll do it right. There we go. Okay. Do you guys have any questions on this before I log? I'll give you guys a minute till I'll give you guys 1 minute to put in if you have any questions on this puzzle. Okay, I would see that nobody does. Okay, you know what? We learned a whole bunch from the London system that you can even sometimes make a slight inaccurate move and still be able to outplay your opponent. We missed that one combo, but you know what? We learned from it. You know, that's the whole point. It was at a small cost. We'll get our points back. It's not about the points. It's my teacher taught me. When you get good, the points will come. That's what my grandmaster teacher taught me and told me to. Remember, knowing is not enough. We must supply. Willing is not enough. We must do. We need to use all the resources at our disposal, such as Aikido, and see the drawbacks to each move, because every chess move has a drawback. And the game is based on who can spot the drawbacks and emphasize them with little to no drawbacks on their side. And that's basically the idea is you have to get a plan. If a knight moves a certain way, the knight always leaves something behind. So does a pawn. If a pawn moves, it left behind two protected squares. So never think that any move doesn't have a consequence. Every move does. It's just if the consequence is worth the move. You have to take that in your every time you play a chess move, ask, what is this move? What am I giving up in my position? Is it worth giving up the protection of these certain squares to get more? Yes. It's kind of like an investment. Is putting your money in a certain thing better? I gain 4% over here, or I gain 7% over here. Which one are you going to do? Of course, the 7%. But guess what? You have to wait maybe for a year or so for the money to come back with interest. So you have to remember that you're out that amount of money for 1 year. So you do get 7% interest, but you are out the amount that you put into that CD or whatever investment for that length of time. Everything has a consequences. So, okay. Well, okay, I will leave you guys with those thoughts. And you know what? Today, it was kind of a stone, but guess what? We made it into a diamond because we learned. Okay, guys, as Wesley So says, for the Lord Jesus, and as I say, God bless, and I'll see you guys next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, and evening, and as always, keep studying chess and keep pushing forward and using your abilities for the Lord Jesus. Okay, guys, keep doing good. We did good. Hurrah. Keep it up. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Be blessed. And Lord willing, I'll be back on. And we'll go over some more puzzles, tactics, and, you know, studies and games. And just, continue to get better and learn. Bye-bye, guys. Be blessed.